So thank you, Mary, for joining us on Reconcile the Aisle.
I'm honored.
What we do on this podcast is talk about how to have difficult conversations about difficult topics. And you've managed to do so much of that with your show, which is your story. And so tell us then about your story and how it came up to you creating the show Runaway Princess.
I knew all my life I had this incredible story that I survived. And I'm kind of shocked that I'm alive, tell you the truth, as are many other people. And it finally was time to write it after, my mom died and I had taken care of her. And so I inherited some money and I could just spend all my time and focus and just really write it. And I wrote it to let people know that it's okay to talk about your secrets. And it's not preachy. It's just me up there straight on telling you how I drank, how to choose a pimp in the life, how I became a hooker, how I ran away from home. And it's a lot of stuff that when I was new, I'm sober 32 years, but when I was new, I would wait for people to say things that I could relate to. And nobody talked about hooking. It's this huge shame. Nobody talked about, just really shooting dope and leaving your daughter alone in a crib, and the horrors of being a drunk and being a mother. I didn't hear it much. But when I did, it gave me permission for me to talk about my secrets. And that's, in my opinion, the only way to heal is to get it out. Because otherwise I just keep drinking and keep it down. And I felt like garbage when I first stopped. I felt like the lowest of low. And then I realized it was like, it's like when you put, when the garbage man comes to pick up your garbage, you don't wait and see, oh, wait, where are you going? Like, come back. And I don't worry about where it goes. So that's kind of worked for me anyway. So that's what the show is about. It's basically my story. And my passion is to have people have the opportunity to hear it that are not in recovery, that I might reach somebody that doesn't have that opportunity. And it has affected. I've gotten letters and people stop drinking and mothers about their children not listening to them and pointing the finger like, what are you doing? Stop. That shit doesn't work. Yeah.
And when did you when was the moment where you knew you had to quit?
I had been evicted, and it wasn't the first time. I was losing a job that I had, a receptionist job, because I'd gotten my daughter back. So I cleaned up, I got a job in Manhattan, and I was a battered woman. That was another thing. I was so glad that I was a battered woman. That meant I didn't have to stop drinking. I'll just be a battered woman, But I was relieved, honestly, when I found that out. But I was living with a guy. He came over. I had got my new apartment through Battered Woman Lady, and he came over and we got drunk and he hit me and he broke down the door and she told me to get out. Don't come back. And I was losing my daughter again because I had blacked out on her in a street corner in a flower store. And fortunately, they got my mother. So it wasn't that all this stuff was happening. It was that it was happening. I had lost her before. So there's a moment, and I don't want to ruin the show, but I don't think it will, that she looked at me. And I was on the phone with Battered Women, and she's talking about going away, and she overheard that. And she looked at me and said, Mommy, you can't go away. You're all that I have. And for some reason, and everybody has their moment, but that was my moment that I was, you know what? I can't do this to her. It doesn't matter what happens to me because I'm shit. And if it doesn't work, I'm just going to go someplace, do what I'm told. And if it doesn't work, I'll just go be homeless again and hopefully be a bag lady and die as soon as possible. But it worked. And I got in treatment, and I learned that I wasn't alone. And that's a big thing. I don't want to change the subject, but that was my moment to quit. But that kind of concerns me in this whole COVID situation. Mm-hmm. Like, what if people do. And it's funny because when they were closing everything, they're closing this and closing that. And it crossed my mind, I wonder if they're closing the liquor stores.
Mm.
And I'm like, wow, where did that come from? It's just.
Yeah. And where can people even get support now that, are people moving meetings online?
Yeah. And the thing is that I guess this is kind of a private conversation, but it's against Alcoholics Anonymous tradition to break one's anonymity on a public level.
Yeah. And you have to register with Zoom. Yeah.
Well, no, it's not about that. It's about me speaking on it. But
oh, I see.
Talking. So I will say that if one finds himself in a position locked in a house, haven't been drinking for days or whatever, and you just know that it's time, you can go on newyorkintergroup.org, and there are tons of Zoom meetings, or there's a chat. You can chat somebody, it'll talk you through it. I actually called AA at one point, and it's just that moment of clarity. It's just that moment, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. And when did now you're an actor and a writer, what came first for you?
Oh, an actor. Yeah. Well, when I got sober, I was going on these retreats, and there was this nun, and she looked at me and she said, "Are you an actress?" And I said, "Yeah, I wish." And I realized that is what I wished. And I do the Artist Way, the Julia Cameron thing, a scholarship to Marymount Manhattan, the theater department, and all the stuff started happening. And I haven't had a day job since '99 now, which is, I'm an actor, which is an incredible community. And even now with this pandemic, they've been really supportive.
Yeah.
Emotionally, financially, everything. It's being a New York actor is the best.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So that came first.
And then how did you come to writing?
I have always written how you have journals and you write like 2 lines, you get a new journal. Oh, maybe this one will be the one. I just knew when it was time to really put it down, and I just really worked on it. And I had a first director, a woman, she was a friend of mine. She actually, her name is Vanessa. She actually came to my mother's house. She said, "You have to write this." And she was really, and that was 8 years later when my mom died, then I knew that it was time. Everybody has always told me that it had to be, because I don't want to, it has to live. It has to be. Have you ever felt like you want to be immortalized?
Yeah, I am.
Like, what will I be remembered for? And I truly believe that the life that I've lived, that I was meant, this is my calling in life, to pass this on. And so I had to do it. Wow. And I wasn't getting any younger.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to do it.
What have been the response from the show?
Overwhelming. People, the big word that I get in all the reviews is that they're riveted, because it's a lot to take in, and I've heard life-changing. I've heard, I can't believe, there's one woman in the back when I was at the Actors Guild in January, and she said, "She's going to die. She's going to die. She's going to die." No, she can't be dead because she's right there. So she can't be. It's people in Galway write me emails that they stopped drinking, and he actually lives in Ireland. This guy, and he told me he was a New York state trooper, and I told him, I said, "You probably busted me, you know." But it's not drinking. It's an equalizer. Alcohol. Yeah. It's kind of like the virus. It doesn't discriminate.
Yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I wonder, like, so in the convention of the solo show, because I've done solo show too, and like, so you do them, and then it's like, how do you create conversation around them? Where do you see the conversation happening? Is it like at the bar, I guess, after the show? Did you ever have any talkbacks or anything like that? Like, how are conversations starting from the show?
My first talk back was scheduled, and then COVID hit. I had 2 shows scheduled in City Island in this cafe, and I had a talk
Yes.
back by a shrink, which my feelings about talkbacks is that I've seen some of them and they seem to be self-serving.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So what I wanted was somebody, a professional, to have that conversation, and,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't happen yet.
Mm.
I have a woman, a friend, she has a teenage daughter, and she couldn't handle her, and she was out, and she was
Mm-hmm.
shooting dope, and she didn't know what to do. And I said, I need to look, and I'm a mother, and
Mm-hmm.
but I need to look at my listening skills. It's
Yeah.
not much to tell a teenager, don't go out, don't do this. It's like ridiculous, because that's their back. You're putting their back up against the wall. But she did get into therapy with her daughter, and she's doing great.
That's amazing.
I've had, I'm actually sponsoring a woman now. She has 48 days that saw my show in a pandemic.
Wow.
48 days in a fucking pandemic. Do you know how that is? That's like, no hugs, nothing. That's like, you want it.
Yeah.
So on a personal level, I've had a lot of great feedback, and it's really touched people's lives.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when people go to a solo show, it's so personal, or like seeing a reflection of someone when it's done right and raw, which you do, is you're bringing yourself to the stage and showing humanity in all its flaws and beautifulness and vulnerability to people, and it like opens up their heart in this way. We can't do it on Zoom. I don't think we cannot do it on YouTube.
That's a really good topic, Laura. Because I got an invite by this, I think it's called ELC, Emerging Leaders Conference.
Mm-hmm.
What they do is they work with sex workers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the women that are turned out and live in the life, with a pimp, or they're online and they're seduced online, and it's about sharing. And I'm so excited about that, but they got canceled because of COVID. But that's where I'm going with this. They'll listen so much more to someone that's been there. But I did have a couple of women that were sex workers that actually turned me on to this place, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback. One woman, I was getting out of the car, and she said, "You're my hero." She said, I couldn't believe it. She said, "You're my hero, to get up there and say what you did like that, just to say it, get it out there."
Yeah. Did you have a moment when you were writing it where you like, I can't believe I'm saying, like, what were your feelings? Because everyone else is shocked you're saying it. And are you shocked when you were writing it, or were you afraid?
I'm still sometimes, there's part of it that I can't believe that I'm saying this. But as an actor, I use that.
Yeah.
Like there's a part in it, like there's some, I didn't see my pimp, and his host taught me the 5 top rules of the trade. Like, number 1, make the deal. Number 2, get your money up front. Number 3, no kissing. Number 4, check for warts, crabs, other suspicious fluids. And number 5, get him off as soon as possible and get the fuck out of there. That has always been a tough one for me. And I had it much more graphic, but my director stopped me. He said, "It's enough, Mary. It's already uncomfortable enough." But that scene, that whole hooker thing, it was, I still don't believe I'm saying it when I'm on stage, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I find sometimes when I'm writing something and then I say it, at the time, I can't believe people think it's shocking, because to me, it's just the truth.
Right.
That's why when people say like, you're so edgy, or you talk about it's weird, or I'm like, but I'm just saying the truth. And this happens every day. Like, why are people surprised about like, oh, sex worker, like you were a hooker? Right. Like, you know how many people are using them every single day? Like, let's not try to pretend this is something unusual.
But you want your daughter to be one, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Exactly. But it's important because it is, sometimes I feel like we create stuff without even, it's like the full force of it is just going to come out and be there for people. and and then when you look at it objectively, you're like, holy shit, I wrote that and now I have to say it. And you have to like almost like step into it, even though you wrote it, but then you have to like grow into stepping into those words that you wrote. It's a very interesting process being a writer and a performer, because you write the words and they come from this place that's like super deep and just comes out before you even can catch up to yourself with it. And then you also have to, as an actor, look at the words and then inhabit them. And it's almost like coming at it two different ways, which is beautiful and also very scary, because the writer sometimes is hiding behind a desk and a screen, doesn't have to stay them in front of everyone else, which the actor does.
Reliving it.
Yeah.
I've been asked, how do you do this? How do you relive this on stage all the time? I don't know.
Yeah. Do you know at all? You say you don't know. Do you have any idea?
Well, I'm a professional.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what that's about.
That's right. Well, I'm an actor.
Man, I won Best Actor in Galway. And Ireland loved this show. And I want to take it to Edinburgh not this year, it's canceled, but next, and do a European tour, because it's very Eurocentric. And I think, but Ireland, nobody talks about anything. Like if there's a feeling in the room, kill, but the women, especially the older women, they all had tissues. I mean, they had got their husbands at home having DTs, and here I am on stage acting that out, and it blew them away, and it was so healing. I was so well received there.
NDT? What's an NDT?
Delirium tremens.
Oh,
yeah, when you're shaking. And there's a scene in there, like when after I get sober and my daughter I tell her I'm so sorry that you lived in that apartment with all those roaches. They were everywhere. They were like clay. And she goes, Mommy, there were no roaches in that apartment. Yeah. So it's not even knowing what you're crazy. You're like seeing things.
Yeah. So my characters have some questions for you.
Okay.
You requested Melania, and also I think my character Queens Marie wants to talk as well.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I love her.
All right. So I'll just come out first because you like me and stuff. Because like I just want to like come out and like be with people who like me. You know, like I can't stand people anymore. Like fucking like I can't even go on Facebook because I don't even like everyone there. And like no one likes me. I'm like fuck you. Like who the fuck are you? You know. So anyway, I just want to be like in digital spaces that are like conducive to like conversation.